Mega Man 5 is the fifth installment of one of the most popular series on the NES. Even the most successful game franchises were lucky to have 3 games on the system, but Mega Man had 6. It's even more impressive when you consider that the first game in the series didn't sell that many copies, so developer Capcom almost didn't make any sequels. Of course, Mega Man 2 was the breakout hit for the franchise, and by the time the 5th game rolled around, the formula was firmly established. You'll fight 8 robot masters in their own themed levels, and upon defeat you'll gain a new weapon that will be another boss's weakness. The big new addition to the series for this game is a new robot companion for Mega Man. He still has Rush, his robot dog that can assist with platforming, but if you find all 8 hidden letters to spell out Mega Man V, you'll be able to summon Beat, a robotic bird that will attack enemies and can do a serious number on some endgame bosses. Mega Man still has the ability to slide, and he can still charge up his Mega Buster. The Mega Buster is extremely powerful in this game. It charges up faster than before and works pretty well on every boss in the game. This time, the story revolves around Mega Man's brother, Proto Man. It seems that Proto Man has gone bad, so he invented 8 themed robots to fight Mega Man? I wonder who might really be behind all of this. The game was produced by Tokuro Fujiwara, the creator of Ghosts and Goblins. He had also been the producer on the previous Mega Man games, as well as tons of other notable Capcom hits from the 80s and 90s. The producer may have been the same, but the director was new. Ichiro Mihara had worked on Mega Man 2 previously, but this was his first time directing. He would go on to direct DuckTales 2 a year later. Mega Man 5 isn't super innovative, but I'm not sure anyone wanted it to be. This is a high-quality Mega Man game with beautiful 8-bit graphics and another outstanding soundtrack. Compared to the other games in the series, this one is on the easier side, so it could be a good starting point if you find the other Mega Man games intimidating. The game got positive reviews when it released in December of 1992, but it seems to have sold fewer copies than previous games in the series, probably because by 92 many gamers had moved on to 16-bit systems. Capcom didn't expect that it was going to get better, so they didn't even want to release Mega Man 6 in North America. Nintendo ultimately made a deal to publish it themselves. In modern times, there's a decent number of players who say that this is their favorite entry in the Mega Man series. When IGN released their list of the top 100 NES games of all time, they ranked Mega Man 5 at number 84. The original cartridge has become a bit of a collector's item, despite the fact that this game has been re-released in multiple collections, most recently in the Mega Man Legacy Collection for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all of the challenges the NES is notorious for. As usual, there are some difficult platforming sections that will test your abilities. Make one wrong move, and it's instant death. But what if I told you where to find every hidden E-tank, M-tank, and letter, so you'll have everything you need to win? What if I showed you secret tricks that will let you walk on water, or even through the wall? And what if I showed you multiple ways to defeat every boss? Even Dr. Wily himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. Let's get started. Mega Man 5. Proto Man's gone bad, and instead of just pulling our intel to see if anyone's noticed a large Proto Man shaped castle, we'll have to fight these 8 robot masters. As a kid, I'd always go to Gravity Man first, but now I can see the merit in starting with Starman, so that's where our quest will begin. If you jump and hold down the button here in Starman stage, you'll notice that you can jump super high because the gravity is very low. This is a lot like the water levels in previous Mega Man games, so if you're familiar with Bubble Man stage, you'll know how to play through this one. Your Mega Buster charges up very fast in this game, and the fully charged blast can kill most standard enemies in a single shot. If you stay far enough away from these cannons, you can clear them while they're still in the ground, and just lightly tap the jump button to get up over those purple ledges. You do not want to hit those spikes on the ceiling. Those are instant death. So just keep charging your gun, take out the enemies, and make your way down on the right side. Clear this first enemy and then drop off the ledge on the left. And when you get down to the bottom, you just want to slide under this overhang and experiment with how hard you need to press the jump button to collect that letter. You don't want to press it too hard and hit the spikes above. We need to find one of those letters in each of the 8 stages to be able to unlock Beat. That's one of the more obvious ones, but some of the others are more well hidden. When you get to the top of this ladder, you want to shoot the lower missile, slide, and then keep running to the lower left corner. That's the best way to get through that room. And when you get up here, remember you can clear these cannons while they're still in the ground. So get rid of all of them and be careful of the spikes on the ceiling as you head to the right. If you do a really big jump, you can easily get over that laser bot, and then use a full-powered Mega Buster shot to get through these 4 space hard hats. There's a health capsule here if you need it, and in the next area, there's going to be some enemies that pop out of the spikes when you jump over them, so you want to lure that first one out and then do a big jump over to the upper platforms. Clear these enemies that throw projectiles at you. You can jump over this last one, turn and take it out, and be careful not to be too high on the screen whenever you transition to the right. You do not want to hit those spikes at the top. Once you've gotten through the laser bot, we'll be at our first robot master. Just like Bowie warned us, there's a Starman waiting in the sky. And if you stand close enough to him, it's possible to actually shoot through his star shield. So that's pretty interesting. The problem with trying to shoot through the shield is you have to get dangerously close to the boss to do that, so you're actually better off just trying to stay as far away as possible. Wait for the boss to throw the shield at you, either jump over it or slide away from it, and then shoot at the boss whenever you have a clean shot. It won't take too many fully powered Mega Buster shots to finish this guy off, and then we'll be able to get not 1, but 2 new weapons. Pretty good. So that's why we wanted to go here first. The first weapon that we get is the Star Crash, which makes a shield around Mega Man, and it can absorb projectiles. You can slam it into enemies, or you can press the B button again to throw it in whichever direction you're facing. But you also get the Super Arrow, which we can use to help with platforming. The next boss we want to face is Gravity Man, so that's where we're going to head next. Gravity Man is the next boss on our list, not just because he's weak against the Star Crash weapon that we just got, but the weapon that we get from him is one of the best in the game, and he's also one of the easier bosses to fight. Whenever you walk over these arrows, it's going to change the gravity here in Gravity Man stage. It'll actually flip some of the enemies as well. And it doesn't change your controls, so left is still left and right is still right, but you will need to hold up to slide if you're stuck to the ceiling. So that's what we'll do here to get around this enemy, and you can actually stand on the chain part here, just don't touch the spiky ball at the end. These enemies that unscrew themselves are unaffected by the changes of gravity in this stage, and it will take a full charged Mega Buster blast plus a regular uncharged blast to kill them. So hit them with that fully charged one, but don't forget to hit them with the additional shot to finish them off. There's some more of those cannons that pop out of the ground here, and we can experiment with that Star Crash weapon that we just got, but we are going to be using it on the boss, so we do want to conserve it for the most part. Down here you can pick up a health refill on the left side. The easiest way to get up there is to use our new super arrows. Just shoot one into the wall on the left and use it as a platform, and if you shoot one to the right and quickly jump on top of it, we can ride it all the way across that section of the stage, even past that big enemy. Over here we're going to have to do some more of those gravity flips, so be prepared for that. Take out these enemies, and then do a big enough jump so that you have time to push over to the right just in time to grab that letter. If you fall up off the screen while the gravity is flipped, you will die, so be careful about that. Over here we want to shoot through this platform and take out that enemy, then jump over to the right and climb up the ladder. The gravity is still flipped here, so jump over those spikes, and as you drop down here you want to hold to the right so you don't hit those spikes in the upper left corner. As we head to the boss room, the gravity is flipped again. This is Gravity Man. You can get a cheap hit with your buster at the beginning of the fight, but we're going to switch to the Star Crash, and this guy just keeps flipping the gravity, and you want to try to hit him as it transitions, so you'll float past him, and you want to either be close enough so that you hit him with the edge of the Star Crash, or you want to throw it at him if you're farther away, so that he hits it as he flies into its path. If you are using the Mega Buster against this guy and not the Star Crash, you're going to fight him in mostly the same way. You just want to keep charging up your weapon and try to shoot him whenever he transitions the gravity. The way this guy's gun works, he can shoot it straight up or he can shoot it at a 45-degree angle, but he can't shoot it at an angle between those. So if you stand medium close to him whenever he's opposite of you, he won't be able to shoot you and he'll have to just flip the gravity. So try to experiment with the range and figure out where the safe spots are, and you should be able to defeat him even without the Star Crash. Our reward for defeating this boss is the Gravity Hold, one of the best weapons in the game. It will kill all of the enemies on the screen. Now granted, some enemies are resistant to it, so you might have to use it multiple times, and there's a few enemies that it will never work on. But to be able to hit everything on the screen without aiming is awesome, so you'll be very happy to have this one. The next boss on our list is Gyro Man, or is it actually Hero Man? I'm not sure. Finally, we have a stage with normal gravity. As you head over here to the right, you'll go on this elevator that'll bring us up into the sky. There are some enemies with shields over here, and we're just going to wait for them to animate, and as soon as they lift that shield, we're going to hit them with a full Buster Blast. Now these floating orb enemies are pretty annoying, but the G-Hold will take care of them, and if you use it a second time, it'll take care of those shield guys as well. We do want to try to conserve our G-Hold though. This is the weapon that we'll need to use on the boss. So there is a weapon refill right here, and if we see any more of those, we do want to collect them on the G-Hold. You don't want to get knocked into a pit while you're platforming in this area, so make sure to take out any enemies before you jump across. And over here is our first encounter with the Chicken Bot. This guy will continuously release these egg robots, so you can farm them for items, but you'll need to focus several of your Mega Buster blasts into the chicken's face to kill it. Over here are some spinners. These platforms will move for a moment in a certain direction, and then they'll stop. You need to get off of them when they stop because they're about to drop out of the sky. Here's a transitional room. Take out those floating spheres and climb up the ladder. There are 3 paths you can take up here, but they're all about the same. I like to go up here on the top one, blast through that cannon, and then jump to the ladder. There's a big guy we can fight up here. Hit him with your Mega Buster, or maybe try the Star Crash. We don't have the best weapon for fighting these guys yet, but the Star Crash is pretty decent. The star crash is good up here too. If you just wait, these enemies will drop in front of you, but you won't have that luxury as you move forward because these blocks will drop out from under your feet whenever you step on them. So you just want to slide across, and when you get to the letter, you'll need to wait, collect the letter, and quickly jump back up to the platforms. If you do die collecting the letter, you're very close to a checkpoint, so it's not that big of a deal. You can't just wait around on this elevator because those spikes are instant death. Instead, head over to the right side and make sure to jump to the upper platforms so that you have enough time to avoid the spikes as you make your way to the upper left corner. Over here, we want to switch back to our Mega Buster and charge it up before we go to the right. And as soon as we get into this room, we're going to jump and do a full powered blast to take out both of those enemies. And then if we switch to our super arrow, and I like to stay on the left side of this platform, jump into the air, fire an arrow, and ride it over to the right. Make sure you fire it high enough and you'll go across all of those enemies. It'll bring you right here to the boss room gate. If we enter Gyro Man's room with a fully charged Mega Buster, we can let go of the button as his energy charges up, so just let go of it now, and you should get a free hit. And then we'll switch over to the G-Hold. You can hit him anywhere on the screen, even when he's off the screen if you're using the G-Hold, but you need to use it slowly. Don't just mash the button, because he gets several frames of invincibility between each hit, so you need to wait for that to fade off before you hit him again. If you are using the Mega Buster, we'll need to do a bit more sophisticated strategy. If he's just throwing gyros at you, charge up your Mega Buster, jump over them, and shoot at this guy. But if he goes up into the air, you want to make your way to one of the corners, wait for him to drop a gyro, walk towards that gyro, jump over it, and then slide. So walk over it, jump over, and slide. Walk over, jump over, and slide, and then you're going to turn back to shoot at the boss. But that will put you in a good position so that if he starts throwing gyros after he drops down, you'll be in a good spot to be able to avoid them. I'm not sure that Gyro Man would be able to fly the way that he's animated here in the game, but the more I think about it, the more I think that having the helicopter blades on your back would be more practical than having them mounted to your head like Inspector Gadget. In addition to the gyro attack, which is a pretty decent weapon, for completing this stage we also get the Rush Jet, which is the only rush upgrade that we're going to earn in this game. The next Robot Master is Crystal Man, and although he sounds fragile, he's actually one of the tougher bosses in this game. There's a big shortcut we can do here if you can make Mega Man die in a very precise location. So you want to get to the third enemy here that has the bouncing head, but don't advance the screen to the right so that the fourth enemy spawns. You want to keep taking damage from this guy until you have one hit left, and then you want to get killed by him right in front of that small capsule in the background, just as the fourth enemy spawns. If you did it correctly, the fourth enemy will spawn without his head, and the game will hang here for a little bit less than a minute. It seems like a very long time, and you might think that the game is soft-locked, but it's actually not. What's going to happen is whenever the game figures out what's going on, it's going to reload us right at the boss, and we'll be able to finish off Crystal Man and quickly finish this stage. The only problem with this is that we'll miss the beat letter, and there's also an energy tank and an M tank in this stage, so even if you do this shortcut, you may want to come back here later and try to find those items. Alright, any time now, game. It seems like this takes a lot of time, but it's a lot faster than playing through the stage normally. So here's Crystal Man, but that trick can be difficult to do and we are missing a lot of items. So before we fight the boss, let's go through the stage without using the shortcut. If you destroy the bouncing ball-like head on this robot, it'll destroy the entire thing, but if you just kill the lower part, the head will come bouncing towards you, so always aim your shots towards the head. There's a couple more of those bouncing head guys down here, so take them out, and then we get to this section where there are crystals dropping from the sky that can mess up your jumps and make you fall into a pit. So you want to use the Star Crash here. Keep the shield up, and even if you get hit in the air by one of those crystals, the shield will negate it and you'll be safe. Up here we meet Eddie for the first time. If you don't like the item that he gave you, don't collect it. Just leave the screen and come back, and he'll give you something else. You can keep doing this until he gives you an item that you like. These enemies are called Crystal Joes, and they're related to the Sniper Joes from the original game. Whenever they're charging up their crystal, they can't be damaged, but as soon as they release it, you can shoot them with a fully powered Buster Blast to get rid of them. Try to stay below the crystal. If you're on the same level as them, you can slide under. Remember as you pass underneath those crystal dispensers to use your Star Crash so that you stay safe. Take out the Crystal Joe at the top, and then take out this one, but switch over to your Star Crash again, just in case. You definitely don't want to die there. In this small room, we have to fight what appears to be an angry Roomba. Hit it with 2 gyro attacks and it'll go down, and then ride the spinner up to the ladder. You don't really need to charge up your Mega Buster to kill those enemies. A single uncharged shot will do it. We'll add some weapon energy to our gyro attack, since that's the weapon that we're going to use on the boss of this stage. And over here we'll see a throwback enemy from the previous game. Remember when you're fighting these flying shields that you can only damage them from behind, but they're actually pretty easy to just avoid. You can just walk off the middle platform to the right to grab the energy tank there, and if you hold to the left you can avoid the enemies in the next room. Down here we can take out another one of those Roombas, and then we'll use our Rush Coil for a jump assist. You start the game with the Rush Coil, so you don't have to earn it, and up here we'll use 2 gravity holds to clear those mouse robots, and then we can slide through to get an M tank. As you drop down here, stay in the middle for the first screen, but then pull to the left a little bit after that so that you can collect the V from Mega Man 5. If you have any G hold left, you can use it to take out all of these enemies. If you're fighting them with the Mega Buster, they will slide towards you, so you want to make sure you charge it up first so that your shots don't fly over them. And that brings us to the boss gate. We can skip fighting this big guy by using our new Rush Jet, flying over him and just holding to the right so that we drop down and go right into the door. The gyro attack is the weapon that we're going to use against Crystal Man here. At the very beginning of the fight, you want to slide all the way to the right side, turn and shoot him to the left, and then head back to the left side. That's the best way to avoid the first barrage of crystals, but it's still hard to avoid them completely. Most of the time Crystal Man will just jump around and in mid-air will try to shoot you with a single bullet, and that's when you're going to use your gyro attack. Shoot it, and when it gets to where Crystal Man is, press up so that it starts flying upwards. If you don't have the gyro attack, Crystal Man seems intimidating to fight with the Mega Buster, but we can use some similar tactics. Start on the right side, keep charging up your Buster, and whenever Crystal Man jumps into the air, charge it up and get ready to shoot him whenever he lands, or jump and hit him in the air. If he jumps very high, he's going to do his Crystal Eye attack again. You want to be directly below Crystal Man when he launches the Crystal Eye, and then move towards one of the corners. That will give you the best chances of avoiding it, but it's very difficult to avoid it completely. Hopefully he won't do too many Crystal Eye attacks, and you can just finish him off with a few fully powered Buster shots. And our reward for defeating Crystal Man is the Crystal Eye. The Crystal Eye fires a large crystal ball, and if it hits a wall, it will split into smaller fragments that will go bouncing around the room. If you want to stop them bouncing so that you can shoot it again, you can pause the game to cancel that animation. And the next boss on our list is Napalm Man. Appropriately, Napalm Man stage is a jungle, and it's filled with a bunch of these tiger bots that you have to contend with. These guys will jump at you whenever you fire your gun or get too close, so you want to slowly advance the screen until you see one, charge up a fully powered Buster shot, and fire it either right at the tiger or slightly above it because it will jump whenever you shoot. Make your way to the end and drop down here. As soon as you drop down, that tiger is going to jump, so be prepared to hit it with a fully charged Mega Buster Blast, and if you did get hit, there's a bit of a health refill there. There's a hard hat enemy operating a cannon down here. The hard hats, also known as Mets, have been in the Mega Man series since the beginning, and just like the others, those ones can only be damaged when you can see their eyes. Make sure to keep your buster charged up when you're down in this corridor. A large driller will occasionally appear, but you can clear it with a single fully powered buster shot. If you're wondering how to get that E-Tank, the answer is to simply go through the wall. Jump to the left and you'll find that part of the wall is an illusion, and just keep jumping to the left until you get it. The water here is a throwback to the Toadman stage in Mega Man 4, and if you use the gyro attack, you can easily take out those helicopters in 2 hits. The Star Crash will keep you safe from these traffic cone enemies, so just keep it active as you make your way to the right, and you should easily make it to the ladder. Just going to switch over to the gyro attack to take out this last helicopter, and then we'll head up the ladder where we'll find Eddie again. Remember, if you don't like what Eddie gives you, just don't collect it. Leave the screen and come back and Eddie will give you something else, and you can keep doing that until you pick up one of the items. Against this big guy, we want to use our gyro attack. Fire it so that it's above the head and then press down so that it moves right down onto the monster. You can also try the super arrows. If you can aim them accurately enough, the super arrows can finish off that guy in only 2 hits. If you're having trouble collecting this N, try Rush Jet. Aim it downwards, and when you get near the ledge, just hold to the left and you should be able to slip right in there. Against these hard hats that operate the cannons, the G attack is actually very good. It only takes 2 gyro attacks to kill them off. Remember though, you can only damage them when you can see their eyes. Normally when you shoot these missiles they explode into a cloud of shrapnel, but the gravity hold clears them cleanly. If you fire off a few super arrows from this ledge and then walk to the right, you'll get some cheap hits on this big guy and can easily finish him off. We'll use a couple more gravity holds to take out a few more missiles, and then make our way down to the right. Just walk off to the left here without jumping to avoid those spikes. Stay over here on the far left side and take out this ball launching enemy. He can't hit you if you're all the way in the left corner, and then make sure to lure out these enemies before jumping across the pits. If they hit you in the air, you'll fall into the pit and die. Same thing over here. Wait for it to come out, and make sure you're jumping over that enemy while it's still visible. There's not one on the final pit. And that brings us to the boss's room. We're going to be using the Crystal Eye against Napalm Man, and whenever you're at far range against this guy, he likes to shoot a set of 3 missiles at you, so either jump over those or try to slide underneath them, and whenever you're closer, he'll throw the bombs at you. If you miss with the Crystal Eye and you hit a wall, you can pause the game to cancel that animation so that you can go back to just shooting the large crystal balls again. And the pattern here is to walk away whenever he's throwing the napalm bombs, and then slide towards him whenever the explosion dissipates. Now, if you're using the Mega Buster against this guy, you need to be focused on the pattern. So remember, we're at far range at the beginning of the battle, so he's going to launch the missiles, but we want to get closer so that he starts throwing the bombs, and we're just going to walk away when he's throwing the bomb, and as soon as the explosion dissipates, we're going to slide towards the boss, turn and shoot him, and then start walking away again to avoid his next bomb. So just keep doing that pattern, and you should be able to defeat Napalm Man without taking a single hit. This time for our troubles, we'll earn the Napalm Bomb. These bombs roll around the ground and then explode. They're a little bit slow, but they do pack a punch, and they are very good against the large guys that have the jetpacks. So you can just get right up next to those guys and pelt them with bombs, and they will disappear quickly. The next boss is Stone Man, not to be confused with Stoned Man that you saw outside your local dispensary. Normally, whenever you shoot the hard hat enemies here in Stone Man stage, they spawn 3 smaller hard hat enemies that you have to fight, but when you use the G hold, you'll clear the whole thing in a single shot. You still have to wait for them to wake up, but this is a much more effective way of dealing with those guys. As we head up here, you're going to find that there is a lot of hidden stuff in Stone Man stage, and the first hidden item is going to be in this screen over here on the right. Down at the bottom, you may notice that those bricks in the wall look a little bit different than the others, and whenever we shoot through them, we'll find that this stage was brought to you by the letter G. Now we only need 2 more letters to unlock Beat. We used up all of our gravity hold, so now let's use the gyro attack. The gyro attack is especially good against flying enemies. Shoot it out and then press up or down to make it change its flight path. We'll wait for these bubble bats to spawn over here and hit them with the G attack, and those rock launchers can be killed in a single shot of it. So we'll just go through taking out these enemies, and one nice thing about the gyro attack is that it doesn't use a lot of weapon energy, so this is a weapon that you can use pretty regularly. Send it over and shoot it downwards to take out another rock tosser, and then climb up the ladder on the right. We're going to continue to use our gyro attack to take out that enemy that's clinging to the ceiling so that it doesn't fall on us. And we can try out our new weapon, the napalm bomb, to try to take out this hard hat. You can see how it splits into the 3 smaller ones, and that is not negated by the napalm bombs. We should probably save these for the boss though, so we'll switch back to the gyro attack. If you found the M tank in Crystal Man stage and you still have it, feel free to use your weapons pretty liberally here, because we're about to find another one, and you can only hold 1 in your inventory at a time, so you're going to need to use it before you can find the next one. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to that room. So you can see that there's another set of those strange bricks in the wall over on the right side, and whenever you shoot through it, you'll see a mysterious room. It's like there's nothing in here. Well, that's because we have the M tank in our inventory, and it won't even appear if we have it. So whenever we use the M tank, it refills everything, not just our health, and now that we don't have it anymore, we'll see that it spawns whenever we go into this room. So if you already had an M tank whenever you got here, that's a good opportunity to use it and then just pick up another one to replace it. We have full weapons again, so feel free to go a little bit nuts, although I do like to use the gravity hold in a later part of this stage, and we will want to save the napalm bombs for the boss. Just make your way to the right. We're going to charge up our Mega Buster and shoot this enemy as soon as he lifts the shield. If you shoot him fast enough, he won't be able to shoot back. These flying enemies are pretty slow. Shoot them if they're in your way, but once you get far enough away from them, you can just keep walking and it'll be hard for them to catch up. We'll climb up this ladder, and over here you see there's an extra life on the left side. Well, to get it, we're going to use our rush coil. Make sure to get far enough to the right so that you have room to place the rush coil, and you can see that the very top of that area is an illusion wall, so you're just going to jump up there and walk through. This is the area where I like to use the gravity hold. The gravity hold will take out those enemies so that you can freely jump on the spinners, and if we use the rush coil here to jump to the top spinner, we can skip those 2 on the bottom, and if you want to collect the energy tank, just use rush to fly over to the left. Whenever we climb this ladder, we're going to meet up with Eddie again. Remember, if you don't want the item that Eddie gives you, don't collect it, and then leave and re-enter the screen to get a different item from Eddie. He might give you the same one again, but as long as you keep doing it over and over again without collecting the item, you can keep going until you get something that you do want. You can shoot through the wall here to find a weapon refill and a health refill, and then we'll head back to the left and climb the ladder. Because there's an energy tank, an M tank, and Eddie in this stage, if you want to stock up on tanks before you go to the castle levels, this is a good stage to keep coming back to. We're going to use our G hold here because we have to fight those hard hat enemies that spawn 3 smaller ones whenever you kill them, but of course the gravity hold gets around that, so that's why I wanted to save it. And we've made it to the boss. As you may have expected because of the boss order, Stone Man's weakness is the napalm bomb. You want to slide over to the right at the beginning of the fight so you can get close enough to start hitting him with the bomb. Whenever he jumps very high up into the air, you can hit him before he lands, but he's going to land in a pile of rubble and he won't be able to be damaged until he reforms himself. Otherwise, he could bounce around the room and do smaller hops. That's a great time to hit him with the bombs, and if you're fighting him with the Mega Buster, you're going to do a similar pattern, but you can stay farther away from the boss because you have more range with the Buster. So you'll notice whenever he uses the Power Stone, it'll kind of hang in the air wherever he was and slowly radiate outward, but it won't go too much farther from its initial starting point. Sometimes he'll just stand there and that's a good time to shoot him, but most of the time you're going to be shooting him while he's jumping in the air. And that's it for Stone Man. The weapon that we get here is the Power Stone. Unfortunately, it's not the fighting game from Dreamcast. Instead, it's a kind of awkward weapon that makes 3 stones radiate outward from Mega Man whenever he launches it. And if you miss with those stones, it has a long animation, but you can pause the game to cancel it and then fire it again. I'm not sure how Proto Man managed to turn Thomas the Tank Engine evil, but he's our next boss. At the beginning, there are some enemies that drop torpedoes on you. You can either hit them with a fully charged Mega Buster Blast, or wait for them to drop all 3 torpedoes, leaving them mostly defenseless. So you can see that one at the top doesn't have anything in it anymore, and will be mostly harmless as it flies over. Head over here to the right where we'll find some hard hats that are riding small trains. You can use the gravity hold on these guys, although they don't take a lot of damage from your Mega Buster. You still need to wait for them to wake up though. While their heads are down, you can't damage them. The problem with the G hold, of course, is it consumes weapon energy at a rapid pace, so we won't be able to use it forever, and eventually we'll have to switch back to our Mega Buster. And you can see, not that big of a deal to kill these guys with the Buster, but certainly easier with the G hold. When we come down here, we see another one of those chicken enemies. The chicken enemy is very random, but certainly memorable, and now that we have the Crystal Eye, that is the ideal weapon to use against the chicken. It only takes 3 full-powered Crystal Eye blasts to take them out, so it's a lot easier to kill them with the Crystal Eye than it is with the Mega Buster, and if you miss, you can just pause the game to cancel that Crystal Eye animation, and then you'll be able to shoot the full-powered ball again. So just keep taking out those chickens, and when you get to this room, the gyro attack is very good for not only taking out the flying bats here, but also the robot mice that populate the ground. In the middle, you'll see there's the next beat letter that we need to collect, and we'll want to use our rush coil to get it. So place the rush coil right about here, use the jump assist to collect the letter, and then make your way up the ladder. When you get to the top of the ladder, it looks like there might be something hidden to the left, but there definitely is not. Make your way to the right instead. We're going to have to go through a few more of those hard hat train guys. We can use our gyro attack on them, or pretty much whatever you want. There's a few of these ball launcher guys. Whenever we were fighting the ones that launched the rocks, the gyro attack killed them in a single hit. Well, these ones are a little bit tougher and will require 3 gyros to kill. That's a nice refill for our G attack, and we will continue making our way to the right, and eventually we'll come to the end where we will drop down to the next level, and that's going to take us to the boss's room. Using the napalm bomb on this guy is a great way to take him out. It only takes a couple bombs to finish him off. The Power Stone is the recommended weapon for fighting Charge Man, and it's a little bit difficult to use. Whenever Charge Man is charging at full speed, or whenever he turns dark red, you can't damage him, but whenever he's just walking towards you, that's your opportunity to hit him. You want to walk in front of him at about this distance, the one that you see here in the video, launch the Power Stone, and whenever you see it connect and deal damage, pause the game to cancel the rest of the Power Stone's animation. That will allow you to shoot it again more quickly. Now, make sure you're not shooting it while Charge Man still has his invincibility frames, but as long as he's not invincible, you can hit him again more quickly that way. If you're just using the Mega Buster, make sure to release a full Buster Blast as soon as you get in the room to get a cheap hit. And then you want to just put as much distance between you and the boss as possible, while turning and shooting him with a full Buster Blast whenever possible. So turn and shoot. Whenever you're charging up the gun, you should be sliding away from the boss unless he's standing still. He does a lot of different patterns of those comets that rain down, so you'll need to be prepared to dodge those. Try not to be in a corner near the boss whenever he's launching them, because that won't give you as much room to maneuver, and you want to only jump over the boss when he's moving. It's harder to jump over him when he's standing still. The weapon that we get for defeating Charge Man is a strange one. It's more like an upgrade for our slide move. So whenever you turn on the charge kick and you slide, you'll slide with like a wave of power in front of you, so you can actually damage enemies with your slide, and you can slide through certain others. Have you ever wondered who's always starting the wave at a baseball game? It's this guy. Here at the beginning of Waveman stage, we can try out that new charge kick that we got. Don't worry, you won't deplete it very quickly. There's a bunch of these little water spouts that come out of the ground, and you can actually slide through them using your charge kick. Otherwise, you just have to kind of wait for them to go away, which is annoying, so the charge kick is actually pretty good there. If you want to be able to collect this health refill, use the Rush Jet, and then you want to go into the top pipe, because that'll drop you out over here so you can collect a 1-up. Make sure to wait for that water spout to get out of the way first though. We can use our charge kick down here to get through a few more water spouts, but be careful not to go through the first one and then get hit by the second one. You want to start your charge kick kind of far back to the left. Once you get to this next room, we need to ride some bubbles to get up to the next spot. And we're going to preemptively put on Rush Jet, but we're not going to use it until we get up to the next screen. Make sure to stand on this large bubble, wait for those two small bubbles to get out of the way, then use Rush Jet to fly over to this large bubble and ride it up to the next screen. Up here you're going to use Rush Jet again, and just fly over to the right. You don't want to get hit by any of those spikes, and using Rush Jet will keep you safe. Waveman has one of the most unique stages in the game. Whenever you head over here to the right, you're going to jump on this jet ski, and suddenly you can't charge up your gun anymore. You can't even pause the game and switch weapons. So you want to stay about in the middle of the screen, because some enemies will sneak up from behind and you want to jump backwards over those ones and shoot them. But you still have to deal with all the enemies that come from the front of the screen as well, including those obnoxious jumping dolphins. You won't be able to pause the game to use an energy tank here, so you do need to be careful. In the middle of it all is this Octobot mini-boss. He's going to keep popping up out of the water, and he'll shoot a green ball at you, and that green ball will be shot in whatever direction you're in whenever he fully comes out of the water. So you just want to stay on the level, shoot at the green weak spot, and watch for the mouth to come out of the water. That will signal that the green energy ball is coming and you need to jump over it. Once you get to this second jet ski section, there is going to be a beat letter that you need to find here, so keep your eyes open for that. That's the most important thing that you need to collect here, and it's easy to miss. You'll see two dolphins appear at the same time right before the letter spawns, so be on the lookout for that pair of dolphins, and then you'll be able to jump and grab the E, which is the final letter we need to unlock beat. Before we go on to the boss, it's actually possible to skip over the jet ski using the super arrows. So you want to go to right about this spot, quickly shoot 3 arrows, give them a half second to spread out, jump on the back and the last one, slide forward and do a big jump so that you go over the jet ski and you're still jumping when you enter this screen. You'll see now that you are no longer in the jet ski and you can charge up your gun, you can pause the game, you can do all the stuff you couldn't do before. You can also go off the screen to the left or the right and you'll be safe over there, but don't go off the screen to the right. You can definitely soft lock the game that way, and I wouldn't go very far off the screen on the left. I don't really recommend going off the screen at all. Even if you go off on the left and you're kind of careful about it, it is possible that you'll soft lock the game, and that is not what you want to do here. Instead, I think it's good enough to just stay in the middle of the water and take advantage of the fact that you can charge up your Mega Buster now. Being able to charge up the gun makes this a lot easier. You can also turn back to the left, which you couldn't do before. So you can just kind of stand here, let the dolphins jump over you, and shoot those jet skis that come up on the left side. And be on the lookout for that pair of dolphins so that you can jump and collect that last letter. So we're just going to wait there. There's the pair of dolphins. And then that'll bring us to the end of this segment. So whichever way you do it, I recommend staying in bounds so that you don't soft lock the game. And as long as you manage to stay in bounds, everything will be normal when you make it over here to the boss's gate. Waveman's weakness is charge kick, but I like to hit him with a quick Mega Buster shot as soon as the fight begins, then switch over to charge kick. He makes a water spout, but if you just wait on the left side, you can kick through his harpoon, and you want to get close to the boss before you start your slide. If you're too far away, whenever you slide, you'll hit the boss, but you may end on top of him and you'll take damage. As long as you avoid the water spouts, you should be able to quickly defeat Waveman using the charge kick. If you are using the Mega Buster, you probably want to jump over that first water spout and try not to stay too close to the boss. Whenever he shoots a harpoon at you, you're going to jump over the harpoon and then either run under the jumping boss or slide under him. So usually I do the slide, jump over the harpoon, and slide under the boss. So over, slide, then turn back and shoot him. And if you just keep that pattern up of jumping over, sliding under the boss, turning and shooting, you should be able to defeat him with just your default weapon. And that's going to get us the final weapon in the game, the Water Wave. The Water Wave travels along the ground whenever you shoot it, so you want to make sure that you're touching the ground whenever you fire it off, and it'll just sweep up any enemies in the way. And that brings us to Proto Man's castle. Make sure you have all the energy tanks you need before you come here. How would Proto Man have even built a castle like this? You can't just call up a contractor and say, "Hey, I'd like a castle. The front of it should look kind of like my face, and it should be filled with traps to kill Mega Man." In any case, the first stage of Proto Man's castle contains more of those tiger enemies, so you want to make sure that you're advancing the screen slowly so that whenever you see one of those tigers, you have the opportunity to shoot at it before it jumps on top of you. Remember, it responds to you firing your gun or getting too close to it. When you head over here to the right, there's going to be 2 tigers on top of each other. You want to run under the top one and then shoot the bottom one. Then quickly make your way to the ladder and climb on up. Here's a great spot to use the gyro attack. We can shoot it out to the left and then press up to hit those enemies clinging to the ceiling. Watch out for that buzzsaw traversing the middle platform, and when you get over here, we can use our super arrows to make a platform and then jump up to the ladder. In this room, we can use our gravity hold to clear those traffic cone enemies, and then use the rush coil to bounce up to this upper ledge, where we'll be able to find a health refill and a weapon refill, So figure out what weapon you'd like to restock. I was using the gravity hold before this, so we can refill it, but if you need anything else more, well, get that instead. We can use Rush Jet to make it across those spikes, and then use a super arrow to create a platform to jump over that high wall. You can create a shield using Star Crash over here and then just slide under this platform. You can also use the charge kick in a similar fashion. Wait for all of those enemies to drop their torpedoes, and if you need it, you can just hold to the left here to grab that health power up and then drop down below. We haven't tried the water wave yet, and it's pretty good against these large cannons. Not only does it damage them, but it also blocks their shots. As we head over here to the right, we're going to see another one of those laser bots, but we can just fly over it using our Rush Jet. So just fly over to the ladder and climb up to the top, and we can use Rush Jet to skip these Yoku blocks. And on this screen you want to jump so that Rush Jet is high up, jump on the lower Yoku block, and then use Rush as a platform to get to the top. Rush Coil will give you the height that you need to get these items. We don't really need the health right now. And this enemy that looks like a flying eyeball is annoying, but it's just going to circle you, and it won't actually damage you. So just don't worry about it and keep moving forward to the boss gate. The boss here is Darkman number 1, and his weakness is the water wave. This guy starts out pretty slow, and you can just shoot the water waves at him. They can even block some of his shots, but once he takes a decent amount of damage, he's going to get a lot faster, and you'll need to slide to keep some distance between you and the enemy. If you don't want to fight him using the water wave, he's not that difficult to defeat using the Mega Buster as well. So if you don't have enough charge of the water wave, or you're just trying to fight the bosses with the Buster, the only danger is if you get shot while you're charging up, you'll have to recharge the Mega Buster. And in the second phase of the fight, it's tough to keep your Buster fully charged because he can start damaging you when he gets close. So if you have to hit him with half-charged blasts, do a couple half-charged blasts, but keep sliding to keep distance between you and the boss, and you should be able to beat him. There is another weapon that's very effective against this boss, and that's Beat. Yeah, we haven't used Beat yet, but if you summon Beat, you need to be facing the boss to try to make Beat attack it, so turn towards the boss and Beat will attack him. But you can mostly just focus on jumping over the boss's bullets, and Beat will do the rest. If you're worried that this is using Beat too early, there's going to be an M-Tank at the beginning of the next stage, and since we can only hold one, this is going to be a good opportunity for us to refill all of our weapons anyways. We'll watch the classic Connect the Dots, and then we'll make our way into the second Proto Man stage. As promised, there's an M-Tank here at the very beginning. To get it, you need to climb up the ladder on the right side, but if you have one in your inventory, you won't be able to see it, so we're going to use our M-Tank, which refills everything, and then you'll see whenever we climb this ladder again, there's the M-Tank. You want to take out both of these enemies, so we cleared the one on the right and then the left, and you can go down the ladder just a little bit to get underneath its shots. And then we'll use Rush Coil to jump through an illusionary part of the wall in the middle, and whenever you come down the ladder, make sure you don't get hit by the buzzsaws, and then take the ladder on the left side, which will connect you to the larger ladder, and that will take you deeper into the stage. Just wait down in the lower left corner for these blue spheres to advance on you, and then take them out with your Mega Buster. Once they're clear, use the Rush Coil to jump over the large wall, and continue to the right. We just refilled our weapon energy so we can use the gravity hold again, and remember, you can't kill the hard hat trains until they lift their hat. So wait for him to lift his hat, and then either hit him with the gravity hold or shoot him with the Mega Buster. And on this screen, if you want to be safe, you can just use Rush Jet to fly across to the left. drop down this ladder, and you may think we should use Rush Jet here again, but I actually recommend using the Star Crash. Carefully navigate the conveyor belts and keep the Star Crash active. That way you won't get bumped by any enemies and end up falling into an instant death pit. Up here we have some Crystal Joes to fight against. You can't kill them when they're charging up, but you can slide under the crystal that they shoot, and you can just jump over the last one and get to the ladder, which will bring you up here, where you should take out both of these enemies, and then if you want to get this weapon energy, use a super arrow to extend the platform, and then you may want to switch over to something else. So we'll get some more gravity hold, and continue to the right. If you're willing to take a risk, there's an energy tank and a health refill over here. The energy tank is at the bottom, so you just want to slide, and as soon as you get that E-tank, you need to start heading back to the left, because if you go too far to the right, you'll touch those spikes, and those are instant death. Same thing whenever you're trying to get that health refill. Whenever you're satisfied, drop down from the top, and in this room, you can use your super arrow to get a 1-up. So just stick it to the wall, use it as a platform, jump over in there to grab the 1-up, and down here these enemies are weak against the gyro attack. One shot of the gyro attack will take care of them, and there's 4 of these guys down here. Sometimes they'll just drop down and go right into your gyro attack. Other times you'll have to press up so that it floats up and hits them. Either way, they are easy to kill. There's a couple more hard hat cannoneers here. Use your gyro attack against them, and don't try to shoot them from behind. It'll just bounce off. You can grab a health refill there and then climb up the ladder. In this room, we can clear the flying enemies with the gravity hold, but if we stay on the ladder, we can make use of the Power Stone to take out that tiger. So that's one use for the Power Stone. There's not too many others. There's going to be a few more tigers here, so be ready for that. Keep your Mega Buster charged, and you just want to shoot and stay down here and let that tiger jump over you, and as soon as you drop down to the bottom, take out that last tiger, and that will bring you into the boss's gate. The second Darkman boss is pretty basic. He has a shield that is semi-effective at blocking your Mega Buster shots, and he just sort of runs back and forth trying to ram into you. His weakness is the napalm bomb, and if you use napalm bombs against this guy, they don't seem to care about the shield at all. So you just want to keep some distance between you and this guy, sort of like when you fought Charge Man, you want to jump over him when he's moving towards you, and just keep hitting him with the napalm bombs and he should go down pretty fast. Another very good way of fighting this boss is to use Beat. Beat deals a ton of damage to this guy, and you can focus on just trying to avoid him. So just keep jumping over the boss, and Beat will do the work. I recommend using the napalm bombs, though we can save Beat for another boss, which is a little bit more difficult. And of course, if you want to try to fight this guy using your Mega Buster, well, now you have to contend with the shield. So whenever the shield is fully extended away from the boss, it's going to block your shots. So you want to try to hit him with your Mega Buster whenever the shields are in the middle so that they're almost on top of each other. So whenever you see the shield starting to move in on the boss, that's when I like to take the shot. And you may get a few shots deflected, but the Mega Buster deals a ton of damage, so if you're out of the other 2 weapons, it's not a bad way to go. No matter how you defeat Darkman 2, it'll take us back to the map, and from what I can tell, whenever we finish this 3rd Proto Man stage, it's going to take us to the base of the satellite dish, and that seems to be where Proto Man is hiding out. This stage is filled with open pits, so make sure to clear any enemies before you jump across. We're going to be using the gyro attack a lot here. There's those helicopter enemies again, and we know that the gyro attack is good against them, but it's also good against the traffic cones that you see here, and many of the other enemies here in Proto Man Stage 3. So you can just wait for that traffic cone to drop off the edge and then climb up the ladder, where if you walk over here to the right, that first enemy will just explode, and then we can clear the second one on the left using the gyro attack. With our rush coil, we can jump up to the ledge to get the health refill, and then climb the ladder to proceed. We'll switch back to the Mega Buster to clear out this room, and once we get to the next room on the right, there's a couple more of those spinner platforms here, but just clear out the enemies and use rush coil to boost you up to the ladder. In the next room, we're going to do something similar, although 2 crystal eyes will very quickly clear the enemies here. And then if you use rush coil under the 3rd platform, you can jump up onto it and then quickly to the ladder. But if you miss the ladder, you could also use the arrows. Just be careful not to get too close to the spikes. Once you're up here, you're going to head over to the right, and we'll switch back to the Mega Buster. This is another area with open pits. Try to jump and make this hard hat cannoneer wake up so that you can kill him before jumping across. And then head over here to this corner where you can jump up to wake up this guy. And a few shots from your Mega Buster will take him out. And then from this point we should be able to take out this cannoneer, but be careful that you don't get knocked backwards. Make sure you take out that skull bomber before you head down here. And from this position you should be able to take out another hard hat and make your way to the right where you can climb another ladder. Up here is another one of those large enemies that clings to the ceiling, and we know what to do about that guy. Hit him with the gyro attack. Just a single gyro attack will get rid of him, and then use your rush coil to bounce up over that wall. If you are almost out of rush coil, you could use super arrows there, but you may want to save them for the end of this stage. If you do a little curved jump, you can get up to the top there and grab that energy tank. If you take the time to get the energy tank, you probably won't be able to ride that snake of blocks, so use your rush jet instead. Make sure you fly high enough to get over those spherical enemies and just keep shooting to the right so that you don't get knocked off. Once you make it over here, drop down and use your N-bombs on that guy, or just slide underneath him. There's another big guy over here. This one you probably should kill, and then make your way to the right. Wait for this enemy to lift his shield and hit him with a full Buster Blast. If he does have the chance to shoot at you, make sure you jump over it. And these 3 are so close together that I like to just use 2 shots of the gravity hold to remove them all. As we climb this ladder, we'll encounter another big guy, this one guarding an energy tank. So that's pretty generous. That's the 2nd energy tank in this stage. Once you have it, take him out with a few N-bombs and then climb up the ladder. And in this area, you can use an arrow to stick to the wall and then shoot a very high arrow and ride it across to the right. You want to stick to this wall and then hold to the right. That will give those enemies below you time to fly off the screen, and then you'll drop right down to the boss gate. You won't be surprised to find out that the boss here is Darkman 3. This one is much more obnoxious than the previous Darkman robots. His weakness is the gyro attack, and sometimes he'll jump really high up in the air and shoot you with a standard gun, so that's that attack right there. But the attack you're most worried about is whenever that gem on his stomach flashes, he's about to release 3 rings, and if they hit you, they'll freeze you in place until you take a hit. The best way to avoid that is whenever you see the flash, jump up in the air so that he shoots the rings upwards, and then they'll just fly harmlessly over your head. A better way to fight this guy may be to use Beat. The great thing about using Beat is not only does it deal a ton of damage, but Beat can continue to attack the boss whenever you're frozen. And that is quite awesome. Beat is probably the best, but if you're using your Mega Buster here, you're going to have to focus on watching that flashing gem on his chest. So watch out for the flashing gem. If you see it flash, you want to jump so that he shoots those 3 rings upward, and then they're very easy to avoid. I jumped a little bit late there, and he got me, so I'm going to have to wait until he hits me. And whenever he's jumping high in the air, that means he's going to do his standard gun attack, which you can kind of get under to avoid. And we're just looking at his chest, watching for the flash, and taking shots whenever we have a good opportunity. And that's going to bring us to the final Proto Man stage. Proto Man Stage 4. With a satellite dish that large, I bet that Proto Man gets all of the channels. Luckily for us, the final stage of his castle is pretty easy. The idea here is to shoot out the stone supports, and the entire stage will come falling down on top of you, assuming that you destroyed the lowest support. So just take your time with this, and if you want to destroy several supports at the same time, just be aware of where this whole thing is going to fall. When you get to this part, make a hole in the middle, jump through, and then destroy the lowest support. And once you get here, you can just keep destroying these stones. The whole thing will not collapse on you, it'll just take you to the boss gate. We're going to get an M tank at the very beginning of the next stage, so now may be a good time to refill all of your items, or even better, if you take a lot of damage during the next fight, you may just want to use your M tank because you're going to need to use it anyway to collect the next one. We caught up with Proto Man, but something sounds wrong about his song, and he deals Mega Man massive damage. Now that's the real Proto Man song. The real Proto Man shows up to bail us out. He unmasks the imposter and gives Mega Man a full life refill. The imposter is Dark Man Robot number 4, and he has multiple weaknesses. One of them is the Star Crash, but it's kinda hard to use on him. The better weapon, surprisingly, is the Power Stone. Because of the Power Stone's rotating animation, it gets around this guy's shield, and remember that you can pause the game to cancel the animation so that you can shoot it again more quickly. You still need to jump to avoid this guy's shots and also whenever he spreads the shields out, but just try to maintain the correct distance to hit him with the Power Stone, and you'll be able to deal him massive damage. So we're just avoiding the shots, hitting him with the Power Stone, jumping over the shield, and then jumping over again when it comes back. And this should be pretty easy to finish at this point. Now, if you have Beat available, Beat is probably even better than the Power Stone. So we did use that M tank. If you wanted to use Beat right now, we won't need Beat for the next couple stages. So feel free to use Beat if you have him available. Just focus on trying to avoid this guy's shots. Try to face the boss so that Beat knows where to go. Jump over the shields whenever they fling out, but you can see Beat just deals a ton of damage to this guy, and of course Beat doesn't care about shields. Beat's like, yeah, I'm just a bird, shields don't work on me. If you do want to fight this guy using the Mega Buster, it is possible to beat him, but this is one of the most difficult bosses in the game to beat with only a Buster, at least if you don't factor in energy tanks. Your best opportunity to hit him with the Mega Buster is when he spreads the shields out, so make sure to jump over the shield and hit him with a fully charged blast. You can hit him when he's just firing his guns at you and he has the shields up. To do that, you want to do a small jump. That seems to increase my success rate against this guy, but your best chances against him are to just try to hit him when you're in between the shields. Those shots are always going to land. And that is the final Dark Man robot. There's no Dark Man X, unfortunately. You won't be surprised to find out that Dr. Wily was behind it all. Who else could it have been? So you're telling me that Dr. Wily built a complicated doppelganger robot and fully committed to the bit by building a Proto Man themed castle, but he didn't do anything about the original Proto Man? You have to kill or at least capture the original for this plan to work. Also, if he was framing Proto Man, what crimes was he getting away with? Isn't Dr. Wily already a wanted fugitive? What was the point of all of this? Now it seems that Dr. Light has been kidnapped, so we have to chase Dr. Wily to another Skull Castle. Now I'm sure that Dr. Wily has an army of hard hat robots to build these massive castles, but think of all the raw materials that they need. This guy could probably feed the hungry people in the world for the next 10 years, but instead, gotta build this Skull Castle with traps to stop Mega Man. Priorities, you know? And so begins another castle. Grab the E and the M tank and then drop down into this shaft. Drop off the left side of those 2 purple blocks and then start gliding to the right so that you can get away from those instant death spikes and make sure that you land safely on the platform below. We don't have anything that kills those green buzzsaws, so just jump over them and make your way up the ladder. There's a few different weapons you can use in this room. The Crystal Eye can spread out and hit a lot of the flying enemies, but you'll probably be just fine using your Mega Buster. Charge it up and take out the flying bubble bat, and you can also hit those cannons while they're still in the ground. If we use the Rush Coil, you can grab this health refill. We haven't encountered too many enemies yet, but if you need it, it's there for you. Make your way up here and head over to the right. We're going to equip our Mega Buster. There's going to be more of those red enemies that fling projectiles at you. Don't jump too high in this area, you don't want to hit the spikes at the top. And you want to blast those enemies before you cross over the top of the spinning platforms if you can. Up here, use a fully powered Mega Buster shot to take out the 2 enemies on the left, and then turn back around to clear the other 3. We can use our Rush Coil to jump over this wall. If you're running low on Rush Coil, you could use your arrows as well. Take out that Roomba enemy and use your Rush Coil to jump to the uppermost platform here, and then create a very high Rush Jet, or at least fly it upwards, so that you get over all of these platforms, and whenever you hit the wall on the right, just hold to the right so that you drop down to the ledge below. This next room is a throwback to the Dustman stage from Mega Man 4. Take out this hard hat enemy, the napalm bombs are pretty good against it, and then stay in a safe area where you won't get crushed, so back here is pretty good, and clear those blocks before moving forward, and make sure to slide under as the crushers are moving upwards. Do the same thing here, clear out all those blocks, and then slide under as it's moving upward, or you can just walk under those ones, they're pretty short, but there's a large field of bricks over here. You want to shoot all of those before moving forward, and then make sure to slide. You may need to do 2 slides there, and then do a couple slides to get off the screen on the right. We have to fight another chicken enemy here, so equip your Crystal Eye, get onto this step, and then keep jumping and shooting the chicken in the face. It only takes 3 Crystal Eyes to clear it, and you can use your gravity hold to clear all of the enemies in this room at once. We can actually use the gravity hold to quickly get through the rest of this stage, so just keep making your way to the right, and that will take you to the boss gate. This next boss is called Big Pets, for reasons that I'm not sure I understand. His weakness is the Crystal Eye, but you can't use it right away. Start with your Mega Buster, and you need to shoot the lower platforms so that they pop out to the left, and then you can jump onto them so that you get high enough so that you can shoot the eyes at the top of the boss. That's when you want to switch over to the Crystal Eye, so wait until you're on the top of the 2 platforms, then switch over to the Crystal Eye, shoot the boss, and you may be able to hit the boss 2 times with the Crystal Eye before it closes the eyes, but it won't open the eyes until you've shot those platforms below, so there's no way to cheat against this guy and use like Rush Jet or something. It's much better to just keep switching from your Mega Buster to the Crystal Eye. If you try to use the Crystal Eye to make the platforms come out, you're going to run out of it. so you do need to keep switching between it and the buster if you want to use this strategy. But that is one way of taking out this boss. Now, switching between your weapons over and over again is a little bit annoying, and it's not actually that hard to beat this guy with just your plain old Mega Buster. So as soon as you get to the upper platform, start charging it up, and as soon as you see that it's fully charged, take a shot at the eyes. The Mega Buster is a little bit less precise than the Crystal Eye, so it's actually easier to get hits on this boss using it. You just have to focus on charging up, and that can be difficult because if you get hit, you'll have to start charging over again. Try to pay attention to where those green heads that come from the ceiling are floating. You want to try to minimize the amount of damage you take from them, and if you need to just drop down into the bottom to avoid them, it's probably best to play it a little bit more conservatively and just wait for a good opportunity to spring the platforms and jump up to the higher ledge where you can open up the eyes and get some hits in. And that's it. We've finished off Big Pets and completed the first part of Dr. Wily's new castle. But there's 3 more that we need to pass through to get to the skull, so part 2 is next. Does anyone else think it's weird that the castle has claws on the right side, but there aren't any on the left side? I do. Dr. Wily Part 2 is the water level of the game. So we did have the space level and Starman stage, which was sort of like a water level, but this one has actual water in it. We can use our gyro attack to clear out these enemies, and I definitely recommend using your rush jet to cross over those spikes. That's just for safety, but it's probably worth doing. We can use our M-Tank here because we're about to get another one. If you've not used your M-Tank, you won't even see it. It's going to be down here on the right. And of course, because we're in the water, you can just jump right up there. Now we have water physics, and although there's no Rush Marine in this game, Rush Jet works just as well in this game. So make sure you spawn the jet high up in the air, ride it across to the right, and I'm about to get hit by this enemy, so we'll switch over to the gravity hold. That'll fix them. And then we'll use the rush jet again to get across these platforms. These green buzzsaws won't jump up and attack you, so as long as you stay high enough above them, you can just coast through this part and try to take out that scuba hard hat at the end. And then we'll just keep working our way to the right. We can use the star crash here to clear these enemies easily, and there's a health refill that we just grabbed if you need it. Just keep star crashing your way through and then climb up the ladder. In here there's 2 more of those hard hat guys, so we'll just star crash them again. And we finally made it to the top of the water, so make your way to the right. There's 1 more scuba hard hat, and we can jump up out of the water back onto dry land where there's normal physics. The water wave is a good way to take care of these enemies, especially since they're lower on the screen. And when we come down here, we're just going to Mega Buster our way through these bubble bats. Wait until they wake up. Take them all out and then make your way across to the right. Keep your buster charged up so you can take out these mouse bots and just jump over the last one. There's another health refill down here if you need it. Clear the mouse spot in front of you, and then we have another chicken to deal with. We know what to do about this guy. Use your crystal eye, jump over the eggs, and shoot it in the face. Here's another one of those big jetpack guys. The napalm bomb will take him out, and then we can use our rush jet to fly up and then jump to the ladder. There's another big guy up here, so we'll bomb him as well. Let him drop down next to you, hit him with the bombs, and then make your way to the boss gate. This boss is called the Cirque Ring Q9, and its weakness is the gyro attack. You can only damage it whenever it opens up the sides, and you could ride those platforms up on the side to try to get hits in, but the safest way to fight this boss is to just stay down in the bottom and try to avoid the balls that it rains down on you, and wait until it stops. Whenever it stops, it heads down to the left or the right, and then it heads to the other side. You should be able to get 2 hits on it when it does this, so see which way it's going, jump and shoot it, and then jump and shoot it on the other side. It's really that easy. If you're using the Mega Buster, you're generally going to do the same thing, although you may want to try to ride the left platform to get a quick hit in the beginning, so you can do that. But otherwise, you just want to stay in the bottom and look for your opportunity to jump and shoot the boss whenever it drifts down. It's going to do this regularly, so just try to avoid the balls. Jump and shoot, charge up again, jump and shoot. And if you're doing that, you should also be able to pretty easily avoid the bullets that it shoots out of its mouth when it comes down, because it will shoot them right over your head. So just get that rhythm down, wait here in the bottom. Sometimes it's hard to avoid all of the balls that it shoots down at you, but as long as you're patient and just wait to jump and shoot, you can pretty easily take this boss out. And he's down to his last hit, so we can be a little bit more reckless here. And that's it. The Cirque Ring Q9 is defeated. Next up is Dr. Wily Stage Part 3, and this one features the game's capsule room. Also, at the beginning of Dr. Wily Stage 3, we're going to be able to get an M-Tank again. So if you used up your M-Tank before, you'll be able to collect another one. Right now you can't see it because we have an M-Tank, so we'll use our Rush Coil to collect that E-Tank. And if we walk over here to the right, use our M-Tank to refill all of our weapons as well as our health. Whenever we head back over to the left, you'll see that the M-Tank has spawned. There it is. So we'll use a Rush Coil to get up there, but if you need a last minute refill on your weapons, you can use that M-Tank and then immediately collect another one. There's not very many enemies here in the first part of the stage, so just get through that cannon and make your way into this capsule, which will take you to the main part of the capsule room. Now if we go to this capsule first and defeat Napalm Man, there's a secret shortcut that we can use that will allow us to skip the other 7 rematches. So you remember how to beat Napalm Man, use the Crystal Eye, and whenever he's throwing the bombs you want to be walking away, but then you turn, shoot him, and slide towards the boss. So turn, shoot, walk away, and eventually he'll be defeated. Now here's how you do the shortcut. You need to use the arrows and you need to move Mega Man onto this ladder in a very precise position, so that his left leg is touching the blue part of the rung of the ladder that's closest to the ledge. Then you shoot an arrow over to the right, push to the right wall, and you're going to do a slide to the left and then quickly turn to the right. If you do it correctly, you'll slide through the wall and it'll take you directly to the boss of this stage, the Wily Press. The best part about doing this trick is that you won't have to waste all of your weapons fighting the boss rematches, so if you want to use the Star Crash against Dr. Wily instead of against Gravity Man, well, you'll have the option to do that. The Star Crash is the weakness of the Wily Press. It's kinda hard to hit him with it though. You want to wait until the Wily Press is all the way down at the bottom, and then jump and launch your shield at the height of your jump. You can also get pretty close to the boss and just nudge him with it, but that might even be more difficult. The only problem with doing that trick is it means that you don't get to play the most fun part of the entire game. So let's go back and do the capsule room the way it was meant to be done. I like to try to take out the most difficult bosses first, and I would say that the 3 hardest ones are probably Charge Man, Wave Man, and Crystal Man, so would like to take them out whenever we have full health, and then fight whatever bosses are remaining to build our health back up so that we have full health again whenever we fight the Wily Press. So we'll head over here and take on Wave Man next. We can use the charge kick against him. We're not going to need it against any of the other bosses. Although you might think that based on some of the other Mega Man games, that this would be the weapon you would need to use on the final boss. But that's not the case here, so use as much charge kick as you need to take out Wave Man. And we will pick up this health refill. We're not at completely full health right now, so we can fight one of the easier bosses like Gyro Man to get back to full health. Remember when you're fighting Gyro Man with the gravity hold not to press the button too quickly because he does get several frames of invincibility. But he's very easy to defeat with that weapon. And now we can head down to Crystal Man, and we're going to use the gyro attack to fight him. Remember, you want to go all the way to the right corner at the beginning of the fight, then turn left to hit Crystal Man, head back over to the left to try to avoid that Crystal Eye attack. And we were doing pretty good at avoiding it for a while now, but we took a few hits at the end there, but that's okay. We have pretty high health, and the rest of the bosses are pretty easy. Because we went to Starman first, we've never fought him with the appropriate weapon, and that weapon is the Water Wave. The Water Wave can penetrate his shield, which is excellent, and you have to fire it across the ground, so you just want to wait for him to land and hit him with the waves. Starman is very easy with that weapon, and next we're going to take on Stone Man. We're going to use our napalm bombs. Remember, he likes to start out by using the Power Stone, and you cannot damage him when he's a pile of rubble, but you definitely can damage him when he's jumping around, and that's the best time to hit him. So just keep hitting him with the bombs, grab the health refill, and the last boss remaining is Gravity Man. Gravity Man's weakness is the Star Crash, but that's also the weakness of the Wily Press, so if you want to save it for the next boss, use your Mega Buster instead. Gravity Man, Gravity Man, Gravity Man hates Mega Man. They have a fight, Mega Man wins, Gravity Man. And that brings us to the Wily Press. I already showed fighting the Wily Press using the Star Crash, so this time we'll fight him using the Mega Buster, and it may actually be easier to fight this guy using the Mega Buster because it's not as hard to hit him with it. You just want to stay on one side of the spike pit, wait until you see that shield open on the top of the Wily Press, and then jump over to the other side of the pit. Make sure that you're far enough away that you won't get crushed, and then get ready to jump and shoot Dr. Wily's capsule. Like I said, it's easier to get the hits with the Mega Buster, so if you're trying the Star Crash and you're just not hitting him, switch over to the Mega Buster and I think you'll have better results. This guy doesn't really do much other than hover around at the top and just try to come down and crush you. So as long as you don't do anything stupid like jump into the spike pit, you shouldn't have too much problem beating this guy. You just need to have some patience, wait until you have a good opportunity to hit him, and then jump and shoot. At this point we only need to deal one more damage, so we don't even need a full Mega Buster, but we'll charge it up anyway, just for good measure. After destroying the Wily Press, you'll see the Mad Doctor fly away in an escape pod, but he couldn't have gone far. Next up is the final stage of the game, Dr. Wily Part 4. There's no second skull this time. This is it. The final stage is short and fairly easy. It just takes us right to the confrontation with Wily. Use your napalm bombs to take out these laser bots, and we can use a nice charge kick to slide through this cannon down here. Just slide right through that guy. And then we can switch back to the bombs to take out another one of those laser bots, and that's going to take us to the boss gate. This is it. It's time for the final battle. If you're worried that we used up all of our weapons during the Robot Master rematch, don't be. Against Dr. Wily, we're going to be using weapons that we didn't use there. The first form of the boss, Wily Machine 5, is weak against the super arrows. Just jump and aim your super arrows at the weak point in the boss's mouth. They are very effective. Try to avoid the missiles or the balls that it shoots at you. and if it's pulling you towards it like a magnet, slide away. The final form of the boss is the Wily Capsule, and its weakness is beat. You could fight this guy just using your Mega Buster, but he appears in one of a number of different random locations, and some of those locations are just too high up on the screen to hit with your Buster, but Beat can fly anywhere. He'll also indicate where the doctor is about to appear, so if you see Beat flying to a certain location on the screen, that's where Wily is going to appear next. Wily always drops an energy ball that when it hits the ground splits to the left and the right, and then 4 more energy balls will come radiating out of the capsule. You want to jump over the energy ball that hits the floor, and just stay away from the capsule to avoid the 4 circling balls. Just try to let Beat do his work. You can try to point him in the right direction to attack Wily, but for the most part he's going to find the capsule, and it will take an entire bar of Beat to win. If you do run out of Beat, just finish this boss with the Mega Buster, and this is the final boss. There's no going back from here, so just use any energy tanks you have and you should easily be able to win. Now if you're just using the Mega Buster, it is still pretty good against these bosses, but you have to worry about getting hit when you're charging it up. So try to avoid the blue balls and the barrages of 3 pink missiles. If they go high, just stand underneath them, otherwise you'll need to jump over the missiles, and you want to slide away from the boss whenever it's doing its magnet attack. Just try to conserve as much of your health as you can here, because this boss can deal big damage to you, but the Wily Capsule can deal even more. If you didn't collect Beat, you're going to want to use your Mega Buster here, so just make sure to charge it up, and you want to stay towards the middle. That seems to be the safest area on the screen, although it's not totally safe. Wily could appear right above you, and sometimes he'll appear right next to you, although if he appears right next to you, at least you can get a hit or 2 in. If he appears very high up on the screen, he's pretty easy to avoid, but you won't be able to hit him with your Mega Buster, so for the most part you're hoping that he will appear low. If you get down to about 1/4 of your health, you may just want to use an E-Tank just to be extra safe. You can take a lot of damage from this guy very quickly, and sometimes he just appears right next to you or almost on top of you, and that can be a very unwelcome surprise. If you die against this capsule, you'll have to start the entire fight over again, so if you have a few energy tanks, you're probably better off using one of them. Remember, this is the final boss, so you don't need to save them for anything after this. It's only going to take a few more hits now. Dr. Wily was a little bit too high to hit there, so you just want to be conservative against this guy, focus on avoiding his energy balls, and get in your hits whenever you can. Oh, one more. All we need to do is hit him even with an uncharged shot, and that should do it. Up too high. Just avoid the energy balls. Come on, come on. And, oh, we got hit, but good enough. We've done it. We've beaten Mega Man 5. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. This ending is not too terribly different from the ending of many other Mega Man games. Dr. Wily begs for forgiveness, and we can see that he had Dr. Light in a cage. That's not cool. Of course, now the castle is going to self-destruct, but who will save us? You know who's going to save us. That's right, it's Proto Man. It's always Proto Man. Let's get out of here. As Mega Man and Dr. Light watch Dr. Wily's castle explode, Proto Man watches on from the distance, knowing now that his name has finally been cleared. Roll the credits. Mega Man 5 didn't reinvent the wheel, but for the 5th entry in the series, it did have some creative bosses, like Gravity Man here that can flip the gravity upside down. That's a very cool design. Waveman fit the bill for a water-themed boss, but some of the other ones are more interesting, like the train-shaped Charge Man that enhances your slide ability. That's very unique. And Gyro Man, a robot that's also part helicopter. A very cool design. Overall, this is a very fun Mega Man game, and although the Mega Buster may be a little overpowered in this game, it is fun to be able to just tear through the enemies. If you're good at Mega Man, you should be able to beat this game in one sitting with no problem. And if you're just starting out in the series and maybe you got the Mega Man Legacy Collection, this could be a good one to start with. If players were worried that the Mega Man series wasn't innovating enough, Capcom did bring out the Mega Man X series, which does deviate pretty far from the original Mega Man games while still retaining a lot of the same feel and flavor. I'm happy that Capcom didn't just end the Mega Man series and make Mega Man X the new thing, and that they continued to support the classic franchise even to this day. There was only one more classic Mega Man game on the NES, and then the next one was on the Super Nintendo, and Mega Man 8 was on the PlayStation, but eventually, Capcom went back to the original style for Mega Man 9, which first appeared on the Nintendo Wii. This game has excellent graphics for an 8-bit game, looking like something that could be seen on a more powerful system. I love the large enemies like the big octopus that you fight in Waveman stage, and I like the little things that they did to change up the gameplay, like adding the jet skis and the low gravity level for Starman. The music is also very good, as usual, but I'm not sure if it's quite as memorable as some of the other entries in the series. Well, I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Mega Man 5 and clear Proto Man's good name. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and make sure to subscribe for more videos, because it won't be long before Dr. Wily is back with 8 more Robot Masters for us to battle, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.